G'day guys, and today we're going to look at taxation. Ooh, what fun. So we're going to be looking at the three different levels of government and the enjoyment that business gets in paying taxes to each of these three levels of government. So a quick revision on the levels of government. You should know that by now, but let's check. What are they? Federal government, state government, and local government, or council that most people know. So each of these different levels of government, not surprisingly, want their piece of the pie, their cut from the business or from companies. And as such, businesses are influenced, impacted on this. They have to pay these various levies, these various taxes to each of these levels of government, and that generally has a negative influence on a business when they're establishing and setting themselves up. So this is something that a newly established business needs to take into account. So taxation, what is it? Taxation refers to the various amounts of money that a business must pay in tax to the government. There's lots of different types of taxes that a business must pay to the varying levels of government. Some major types of tax that a business will need to pay include GST, business tax, but there's many other different fees and charges that we will take a look at. We'll start with the federal government, the Commonwealth government. Some of these taxes include group tax, known as pay as you go, or PAYG. It's imposed on the employee and it's taken from the worker's salary or wage directly. But it is up to the business to put aside a percentage of the worker's income. It's their obligation to be able to be paid to the taxation office each fortnight or each week when you get paid. So let's say I earn $100,000. Please, peasant change. I don't know that. Let's say I did. And let's say I paid about 25% tax on average. It's on a scale though. The more you earn, the more you pay as a raw number, but also as a percentage. Let's say on average is 25%. So I'm paying 25 grand a year in tax. My employer, they would go, okay, you're paid fortnightly. We're going to keep this amount aside and send that to the taxation office. That way, when I do my tax refund or tax checks, that I've not paid too little tax, that enough's been taken out. And that's levied by the federal government. Another tax our old mate federal government's looking after with us is the FBT, the Fringe Benefit Tax. This is a tax on the provision of a benefit to employees, such as the privilege of having cars, low interest loans, entertainment expenses, instead of a salary or wage. Now it's paid by the employer at a rate of 48.5%. So what the business could do to me, just say I was an employee of the department which I am, then my boss could say, right, instead of earning $100,000, what we'll do is we'll give you $50,000 as a salary. 50 grand can go into this luxury yacht that you've always wanted. However, I don't just get that yacht, I have to pay 48.5% tax on that yacht. It wouldn't be worth it. I'm better off just getting my normal salary and purchasing the yacht myself. So it used to be a bit of a perk, a way to minimize tax for those who earned a lot of money. It's not really useful these days. Now, another tax this is taken by the federal government and distributed to the state government. It is the GST. Now it's a broad-based tax because everyone pays it when they purchase either a good or a service. There are some exceptions to that, like sometimes education is exempt. You have to pay GST for that, and other fresh fruits and vegetables are exempt too. But for the most part, you buy something, this shirt, this ring, this computer, this hairstyle, then you're paying an extra 10% for that. the federal government collects that and they give it to the states in some weird and crazy way in which New South Wales tends to get screwed. And that's revenue the state government can use. But it's a federal government tax. Last federal government tax, geez, it's fun talking about tax. No one wants to pay it, and no one wants to hear it, but you need to know a bit about it. Is company tax. Now, federal government collects that. It's 30% for large companies, and it's business tax as well. But I think it's we're talking about 28.5%. Could be wrong, but 28.5% for small businesses. They only pay that amount rather than the 30%. They've got a turnover of less than $10 million. So if I'm making, or not making, but the sales of my business is 7 million within a year, okay, that doesn't mean net profit, it's just the sales. If our turnover is 7 million, 8 million or something, you're paying 28.5% tax on your net profit, whereas above the $10 million, you're billed 30% on your net profit. Now, the second tier of government is the state government. Some of the state taxes include stamp duty. This is imposed on documents that give evidence to transactions, such as leases or mortgages. Basically, that's a bit of jargon there for you, but stamp duty is when you purchase a factory or an asset or a motor vehicle, then you don't just get it. It's not the drive away cost. If I buy a new vehicle for my business that's $50,000, of course, somebody wants some extra money out of that. State government charge you stamp duty, and you have to pay a bit extra. Depending on the state, there's different amounts, but a bit extra, maybe $1,000 or $2,000, to the New South Wales state government for the privilege of purchasing that vehicle. All right, there's land tax as well from the New South Wales state government, and payroll tax is another big cost to a business when they are setting themselves up and running a business. Payroll tax is levied by the New South Wales government. This is payable on wages that are paid by a boss and employer to their workers. The payroll has to exceed $638,000 at a rate of 5.5%. All right, so if you are paying that amount to your workers in general, so a reasonable size small business, then you're charged a payroll tax as well. That's another thing that if you're setting yourself up, you've got to go, okay, how much is my business, how much am I earning? What's my turnover? How much wages am I paying? Do I need to pay payroll tax? You need to figure these things out. Unless you have an accountancy background, I'd strongly suggest that you go and get some accountancy advice and provide or pay for the services of the accountant. There's another cost for your business. Almost there. The last tax or charge or levy or rate that you need to pay is through the local government, the council. Trust me, they don't miss out. These are taxes that are charged by the local government. They are known as council rates. This is a system of where property taxation, usually based on the value of the land, is charged to you. It's the main local government charge a business will face. What the government will do is value your land, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, and they will say, okay, based on the value of that land, each year you need to pay us this amount, or each quarter, the privilege of owning that land, even though you own it, you still have to pay this amount in terms of a tax to the local government. Now, other areas where fees are charged is water and sewerage, the waste management service, your rubbish, and the development and building approval fees. So if you're going to do some building, you're going to add another part to your factory, then the local government will want a percentage. A tax will be charged to you for that privilege of growing your business. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.